I've seen some of these cases where we're trying to get trials out, and there's been dedicated courtrooms and long cause for mesothelioma cases, because when you're doing these, you're not just up against Johnson & Johnson sometimes. There's like dozens of defendants.
Usually, yeah. Usually people are exposed, like the women who get it. They usually use other body powders like Avon or Coty or Estee Lauder. All those had asbestos in them too.
But how do you get, educate our listeners and viewers, how do you get those other folks on the hook where maybe Johnson & Johnson knew, didn't tell anybody, but then Avon picks it up, sells it? How does that kind of work?
So, I mean, a lot of the companies did, what actually happened was Johnson & Johnson set up through industry groups this type of testing of talc that they knew couldn't find the asbestos because the microscopes were too weak.
Oh my God.
So they rigged the tests. And so there's a lot, Avon and these other groups were in those industry meetings. J&J led the cover-up, but they also knew, and they were also part of the cover-up. And hiding tests from the FDA, it's an insane story.
Sound like whenever Big Tobacco, R.J. Reynolds used to hire all these experts from Harvard that said cigarettes were good for you, and they're testifying in front of Congress. I use that slide a lot in closing arguments. We talk about experts. I put them swearing in those people that said cigarettes were safe.
Oh, like the whole lineup?
It's the whole lineup. It's a powerful image because jurors remember that,
I love that.
But it's crazy like how often we're exposed to people that say they're quote unquote experts, but they're literally bought and paid for.
Yeah, and I don't think like regular people understand how that works. Not just that they're bought and paid for, but that the peer-reviewed published studies they do are bought and paid for. I just don't, it's scary.
Do you have to expose that in your trials? I mean, how, because you're there for months at a time, and I'm sure they call in all these quacks to talk about shit.
Yeah, they call in folks who say every single mesothelioma in women is spontaneous, 100%.
I mean, that's just not credible.
It's insane, but some judges won't let you show that the last 70 cases they said the same thing. So it's always a challenge of exposing the truth.
How could they not allow you to do that?
It's another case. It's trial within a trial. I
hate that.
I hate that stuff.
And
but
I thought these cases mostly settled. I didn't think a lot of them went to trial.
But he's trying a lot of these. I mean,
so J&J, there's certain things I can say and not say, but essentially they're forcing them to trial.
They're also trying to create, from my understanding, I just read the news, shell companies to like bankrupt them and do this kind of stuff to, I mean, how can you even possibly do that?
So they created these shell companies, put the liabilities in the shell companies, put the assets in another company, and bankrupted the shell companies. And they've done it twice. Billionaire bankruptcies.
Where are they trying to pull this off?
It's called the Texas two-step. So the statute, they do it in Texas, and then they get the case sent to North Carolina where they think the judges are favorable. It's all Texas.
He has a joke. He has a joke coming.
You ever heard of a double Irish?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, no. Well, back to Texas two-step.
Anyway, so they've failed twice. They're threatening to do it a third time, and we'll see.
But are they doing it in Texas? Is that where they're trying to do it?
Yeah, they do it in Texas. Honestly, it's so complicated, but the statute is in Texas that says you can do it. And then the actual litigation has been happening, I think, in North Carolina about it because they think it's favorable jurisdiction. If they do it again, the litigation will happen in Texas.
In Texas.
They're trying to do it just with the ovarian cases now because there's a lot of ovarian cancers caused by talc use. They told women to put it in your underwear. It goes right to the ovaries. And so there's tons of ovarian cancer cases.
Wow.
They're trying to do a bankruptcy just with the ovarian cancer cases now. And I think they're going to fail, but nobody knows.
Why doesn't, let's do another pour about where we're talking this tomorrow. Well, not of this. We'll maybe finish off with this. So, by the way, I selected this one. This one's called the Redwood Empire. This is bottle and bond, so it's going to be much hotter than a peanut whiskey, but 100 proof, right? So 50% alcohol. This one was started, so it was distilled in 2017, the same time that Johnson & Johnson finally gave us millions of documents that you were able to, get where we are today. And then 2022, 5 years later, is whenever there was actually, after it's done aging, when they poured this bottle into what we see. It's beautiful here today. But it's a rye whiskey. I promise you there's no talc in it. I cannot actually promise you that, but it might be, but I don't know.
It says here it's 87% rye, 5% wheated, and 5% malted. That's pretty good.
This is a pretty high rye. I mean, not a high rye is like just means it's not over 50, but this is a lot of rye that's in this. But this is going to be a lot.
It's called Rocket Top.
What does it
Rocket
mean
Top.
to have a lot of rye?
Just the way that they make the whiskey. So rye whiskey, they call it rye. It just means that it has more. It's made more than 50% with rye in it, because a lot of bourbons are corn based.
Okay.
To be a bourbon, you have to be
51%. 51% corn.
51% corn, made in American oak barrels, and there's probably something else that I'm not forgetting right
It
now.
has to be aged for 4 years.
And aged for at least 4 years. But all bourbons are whiskey, but all whiskeys are bourbon. So this is not a bourbon; it's a whiskey. He didn't even cheers. This pig.
Cheers.
He's just jumping the gun.
Getting right to it.
Yeah, but this is the Rocket Top. So this is a special one that the Redwood Empire does. So this is a, I think it's Sonoma, California.
Yeah, it's another Sonoma whiskey, bourbon and whiskey maker. It's good.
Oh, this is good.
Pretty good too.
So for 100 proof, this was probably, I would guess 70 proof for peanut butter whiskey. I didn't check this one, but then jump up to 100
The
proof.
peanut butter is not. It's not that strong. What is it? Things backwards. It's 70 proof.
70.
Yeah,
So
pretty
35%
low,
alcohol.
Pretty low proof.
So we're jumping up to 50% alcohol, but yeah, it's pretty good. I never had this one.
Good.
So this comes from, both of these bottles were sourced by the Booze Outlet, who sponsors the show. Mara and I put out ridiculous asks for bottles that you're very hard to find. So we got these ones for today, and this one's pretty good. I like this Redwood Empire. I could drink this every day.
I think we had another Redwood whiskey on one of the shows that was really good, but it was like 120 proof. It was real.
There's ones that are really strong.
Very, very strong.